This is another 4-player fixed card game which is being played with low-ranked players. I'm the green player in this game and I think there is a couple of different options on what I could do. I think the most reasonable continent I could potentially get is North America, then assuming neither red nor blue players decide to go for Europe, then it would be a continent choice for me as well. I would guess very likely they will go for smaller continents. But Europe is hard to hold. You basically need to have the alliances with everyone if your opponents are lower ranked players. So I think I will just rather go for North America or try to get a game without a continent, by just building a big army in Asia and just waiting for the opportunities. I think it would be very cool to get a game without a continent. I haven't had one for a while, so this game might finally be the one. Also, I was kinda expecting for the red player to contest for Australia with pink so it could potentially be wiped out for me, but it seems the red player is smart to not fight for a continent, as what I see he decided to go for Africa, or a continent which no one else is going for. And it's definitely smart play. Then the pink and blue players decided to go for the continents which would be the easiest for them to capture too, so props for them too. The bad thing which could happen is if the blue and red players fight each other and the pink player uses the Australian turtle strategy, then I with pink would be kinda using the same strategy, so he would just have the advantage over me by having those 2 extra troops each turn. But so far I would predict that the pink player is going to play aggressively from what I saw, so that's good. Also, that's very weird that he left no troops neither on Siam nor on Indonesia to protect Australia. Like, I think I could definitely take it from him if wanting, so then just of course probably I wouldn't be able to hold it. The pink player might be able to invade me back, and then with both of us fighting each other at the end the continent could be wiped out for another player. So I'm not going to take Australia from him, though if I get a good set at 3 cards then I might still do, depending on how strong the pink player is going to look. Like if he decided to crush a lot of troops randomly, then it would be awesome, so of course if they're not getting crushed into me obviously. But honestly I would really like to get a no continent game this time. That would be awesome. And to be honest I have no idea why the pink player thinks it's a good idea to not guard Australia at all. But I really like that. New Australia strategy has just been found. I haven't seen anyone using it yet, so I'm wondering to see how will it go for him. I think a lot of players, if they were me, then they would definitely consider taking Australia from the pink player now. But personally I think it would just be better to let him have it. It seems he is willing to play aggressively, and if he is going to attack other opponents a lot, then it would be great. So just the worry is that he could potentially decide to fortify his biggest army next to my biggest army because he might want to go for Asia. So that would be kinda bad. I would be forced to move out to either North America or Europe. But as long as he doesn't start putting a lot of troops next to me, I think I should be fine staying in the top of Asia. From what I see I could predict that the blue player is a type of player who is mostly looking to expand. I think very likely he will go for another continent, which is probably a big one since a smaller ones are already taken besides Africa or the continent the red player is going and keeping a big army to. And then the red player seems to be a type of a player who isn't in a rush to capture a continent, who will prefer safety, taking his time but making sure that he would have high chances to hold a continent after he finally captures it, rather than trying to capture a continent as soon as possible. And to be honest, in his situation I wouldn't be in a rush either, with the pink player's army being in the territory of the Middle East, meaning that very likely he could get invaded into Africa once he captures it. But what I want to say is that the red player would probably be more about a passive player who would avoid to make some attacks. He would be kinda using the same strategy as me as well. And with the blue player being an expansionist player whose the main goal is to expand, the blue player would probably start receiving a lot of troops, and with the red player probably being a relatively passive player, it would probably be bad for me to end up in a 3-player situation with both of them. So this is where the pink player, who seems to be a relatively aggressive player, is needed for me. he will either attack blue preventing him of receiving big troop bonuses, or he will attack red making him to be eliminated for the game, and then I would become the only passive player in this game staying with two aggressive players who would probably want to attack each other with both of them wanting to expand. So I would say pink is a very important to me player, and as long he doesn't focus on me, whatever he does should make my situation better. So I will rather not turn him into my enemy by trying to take Australia from him. Especially when the blue player is about to additionally capture North America, so if I and the pink player fight each other, and if the red player wouldn't consider attacking the blue player letting him hold both of the Americas, then the game would have very likely be won for the blue player. And alright, the pink player attacks the red player, which is probably relatively good. I think that's much better rather than if the pink player had fortified biggest army next to me wanting to wipe me out from Asia, or if he had just been simply building his troops on Siam or so and just using the Australian turtle strategy. So while of course his decision was good to me, for the pink player himself wasn't, he barely made himself alive. And since the pink player didn't completely take the red player out, the red player will be eliminated by blue, who is going to receive red's cards, though the good think that there are only two of them. Anyway, what I'm considering now is to potentially take the pink player out. Though I do not have any set, and while I probably still end up successfully taking him out, I'm not sure if I had the advantage in the game with blue. So I think the safe play is not to take the pink player for now. Though I might have just missed an opportunity to win, who knows. As you can see, I fortified my smaller 9 troops army to North America, so it would help even out both of my opponent's situation on the board. But if I had known that the pink player is trading an A set at 3 cards, then I might not have done that fortification. But oh wow, it's actually might even better that the pink player had A set, as he is really an aggressive player who seeks to attack other players a lot, the ones who have some continents, as he could really end up breaking the balance of the game in my favor. I think either that, or the blue player could do so when retaliating to pink. But I think in any case, with me staying in a 3-player endgame with 2 aggressive players, my chances to win should be relatively high. So unless suddenly they stop attacking each other, making an alliance with each other and deciding to attack me. But with them already attacking each other, I think that's very unlikely. And then with me putting my troops in one big army, they could potentially struggle to figure out how to attack me as well. Besides of one of them deciding to take my army down in one take, ending up eliminating me from the game. But I think before one of them deciding to do it, I think they will still end up attacking each other. So I don't know, for now I'm just staying patient and looking to see what happens. If I see that it's needed to attack one of them so another one wouldn't become overpowered, then of course I will help the weaker player out. To stay passive no matter what, wouldn't be a great choice. I need to keep looking at the troops counter and keep track of the balance of the game. I don't want for one of the players to end up having more troops than me and another opponent combined, as then that player could just win. I think now it would be great taking Australia from pink. I think yeah, totally. But only Australia, I think should let pink have Africa with Europe. As if I invaded him into them, then in his turn his main goal would be to recapture them, while if I let him have them, then I think his main goal will be to invade the blue player into North America, or at the very least to recapture South America. Also, as you saw, I ended up taking all the pink players' top Asian territories without leaving any single one of them behind, so in case the pink player would end up weakened too much with the blue player probably trading an A set at 4 cards and retaliating to pink, then it would be way easier for me to take pink out, without needing to split my troops. Let's see what the blue player actually does. And alright, apparently the blue player doesn't have a set at 4 cards. So unfortunately he couldn't weaken the pink player much, but very fortunately to me he still ended crushing one of the pink player's armies, weakening himself. So I think now my plan is to take the blue player out for 5 cards. And at the same time invading the pink player into all of his continents. Of course I would have preferred to go straightly through Europe, through the territory of Iceland, but with the pink player having 7 troops on it I thought it might have been safer to go all the way around. Well, probably it would have been around the same depending on the blitz roll, but I mean with me going around I guaranteed that the pink player wouldn't have ended up receiving extra continental troop bonuses in case if I had failed to take the blue player out. When trading in these 2 sets I didn't really pay attention to the extra troop bonuses on the cards, but when trading in first set, I should have definitely made that 2 troops would be spawned in Brazil rather than in Alberta. But anyway, now my goal is to set up my troops in the way which would give me the highest chances to finish the pink player off in a single turn. Of course I'm not the odds specialist, but let's see how my troops combinations will work out. So far so good. And alright, I didn't really expect it at first, but I actually managed to take both of these players out in a single turn. That is so awesome indeed.